All right, it's time to get back to our conversation here on Opinion Court. Still with me, of course, is Professor Edward Kisiangani and Dr. Makodingo. Now we want to discuss the Cotu Pusetu wars, which we saw play out in the media this week when the government did preside over the official launch of Pusetu. Let me start with you, Prof. And I must issue a disclaimer that you are in fact a member of Pusetu.
I've not yet joined.
But at least universities are represented there, correct?
That's correct.
That is correct, okay. So there may or may not be a bias in your comment, but is it high time that Cotu got some competition?
Yes, it is high time, and there are reasons for that. If you look at the situation, the way it has been in this country since independence, Cotu has been the master narrative of trade unionism. But even when it was in charge of trade union activities, it has excelled more on drama, acrobatism, naivety, lack of intellectual know-how about the issues that involve trade unions. People who worked under Cotu and served as members of Cotu have nothing to show. They went to the grave poor, and they are still poor in their graves. So right now, when you look at what has happened, Pusetu is rising. It's a revolutionary movement within the trade union movement. First of all, I looked at the people who are fronting Pusetu. They are people with good knowledge, so they will inject the trade union movement with some kind of intellectualism that will get back to the issues that are required to be addressed for workers.
Are you saying that Francis Atwoli-led Cotu lacks intellectuals?
I know of any that really can excite anybody. I think even the public knows that you associate them more with the drama, dancing on the stage and many other things, but you don't see people addressing issues. They can even threaten, and then you realize they have made a deal at the expense of workers. So this must have been frustrating to some people, including this Pusetu, so that they formed this union. But I think there is so much ado, Shakespeare would say, about nothing. If you look at our own constitution, and you look at section 41 of the constitution, it says every worker has a right to join, to form and join and participate in the activities of a trade union. So what they are doing is that Pusetu is just enjoying that right that is enshrined in the constitution, and they think that by forming a new union, maybe it would articulate its own agenda in a better way than under the umbrella organization that you call Cotu.
Let me bring in Dr. Makodingo. Did the government do the right thing by recognizing Pusetu, and in particular the labor minister who took various shots at the person of Atwoli during that launch?
Part of what I think has been Jubilee's biggest problem, what the mistake, for me, the fundamental mistake the president made, was to appoint people to cabinet who have no political acumen. Yeah? Because
but that's in the constitution.
An incompetent Cotu is actually very good for government.
How can you say that?
Let's be clear. Cotu is incompetent. In fact, in every strike in this country that Atwoli has gotten involved in, the workers have lost. Yeah, he always sides with the employer. Somehow workers have lost. Ask health workers. They went on strike. Atwoli got in and they got out of the strike with nothing. So in terms of competency, Atwoli is a perfect for government. When you see cabinet secretaries falling over themselves to recognize a strong intellectual organization like Pusetu, then you realize that they are politically clueless.
But that's the whole point. They are not supposed to be politicians, and that's
no. But the thing is,
so
as a politician, as a government, the last thing you want is the strongest trade union in the land, especially a trade union that are civil servants. Yeah.
Somebody may argue that it's goodwill from government, that we in fact want to see the workers of this country pay.
Strategically for government it's bad. For anyone in opposition, for the workers, Pusetu is a great idea.
Your idea of government is a mischievous setup which wants to capitalize on people's weaknesses. What would the government gain when it has people who are weak? You know, trade unionism is also about negotiating with the government on realistic grounds. For example, if there is no money, you do not have to go to the stage and start dancing and telling people that, look, I will make sure you get
this is what lecturers have been doing.
No.
They have been dancing on the street, leaving students started in classes.
I'm talking about dancing at a public rally to say that, you know,
but have you seen them doing Badama Paban? Have you seen Sosion? Now is, I think, while your vice chair of the secretary general or something.
Yes.
Allow him to respond.
Dancing is best, best challenge.
That is besides the point. The point is this, that trade union issues are about welfare. It may not even be salary hike. But if you are working with people who are whose intellectual worlds are far apart, it is very hard to strike a compromise. Sometimes it will require understanding each other, understanding the issues involved, and then having a quick compromise.
Prof, I have no
So when you have a weak one which you manipulate, and I think your idea of manipulation is where government can even dish out some little money to the trade union leaders and then they abandon workers.
That's a time bomb.
That's a time bomb.
Wait, that does happen. But let me move this forward. Do you believe that Pusetu then therefore should get the mandate to sit on these cream boards, NSSF, NHIF, etc.?
They are a trade union under Section 41.
Cotu should be out?
No, that is not the thing. You cannot remove Cotu. Those who still believe in Cotu should continue serving in Cotu. The section that I've quoted in the Constitution doesn't say that everybody has a right to belong to Cotu. It says everybody has a right, every worker has a right to belong to a trade union. So both of them, they must work out a compromise where they can share the membership on national organizations.
Yes, but the problem is, in all those bodies, the law is clear. It says a representative of an umbrella body of workers' unions.
Yes.
So in fact, now what we should determine is who is the umbrella body of workers.
There are two umbrella bodies now. The Pusetu is a collection of trade unions.
Yes.
Then of course Cotu has.
Perhaps one would argue that would be on membership.
Yeah, probably on membership. My suggestion would be, because NHIF has a lot of government, including government workers. In fact, now they're actually covered almost comprehensively under NHIF. NSSF is for all of us. My suggestion would be, and in a lot of these, there are two slots. For workers' unions. Give one to Pusetu, give one to Cotu. But Cotu has to pull up its.
I want to ask a final question as we wind up. It seems to the ordinary person, perhaps, that workers' rights are being sacrificed at the altar of political expediency, be it Cotu, be it the deal that Pusetu may or may not have made with government to gain the sort of recognition that they did. At the end of the day, what is left for the Kenyan worker? Where do they go to? Who is actually going to articulate their issues? Because there's so many people in this country who rise very early, work very hard, and get undeserving pay, the bare minimum. Who speaks for them?
You know, the workers themselves must have their own voice. That voice can be from their leadership. Unfortunately, we haven't had very good trade union leaders in this country. And on this note, Anne, I would like to tell you this. I am happy that Pusetu has been formed. But when I saw the trade union leaders in Pusetu celebrating with the Professor Kaimenyi and the people from government, I smelled a rat. And the rat is that trade unions are supposed to bargain for their welfare, and usually that bargain leaves some discomfort in government. But when you see government officers coming there, probably they are already fixed. And maybe the voice of the workers will die as soon as it's hard. So that's where my worry is, and I want to warn Sosioni, I want to warn Kubasu and everybody. They should be careful about the smile. And the reason why I'm warning them, I want them to understand from the plot of Shakespeare how Brutus, sent a dart into the chest of Caesar. And that was the person they were dining with and smiling with each other with. And then finally, as Caesar was dying, he said, even you, Brutus. So when that comes up to Sosioni or anybody else, Mukwaya, they must have an answer for us.
Your final comment, perhaps.
They must remember what happened to the media early in Uhuru Kenyatta's presidency. Yes. They went to State House, they had breakfast, some of them even pleaded for jobs publicly.
Yes.
And then, of course, the rest is history.
Yeah.
You cannot go and dine with government. In fact, they lost legitimacy. In anyone who is being represented by Pusetu should begin to ask. I mean, tomorrow, when Sosion and Mukwaya and Kubasu go to negotiate with Kaimenyi, for example,
yes,
do we even know what they're going to be doing? Maybe they'll be taking tea and laughing at our expense, and then they get some token and something. So there still always needs to be some sort of distance between trade union workers and trade union leaders and government, and employers generally, government being the largest, so that at least you have legitimacy of the people you represent, that you can still stand for their rights. Not when they see you dancing on the same stage with the same people that you're supposed to be extracting rights out of.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, let's get to the favorite part where we get our audience feedback. Thank you so much for writing into us this evening. Let's read your views. Thank you, Kenyans. Hashtag Baby Osinya's dreams are now valid. Life ahead may seem difficult, but God willing, there is hope. Hashtag Opinion Court. Wonderful indeed. God watches over his children. Wish Baby Osinya a great life ahead. I am not in support of this at all. Does it mean that we have Somali foreigners in Kenya? Usalama Watch. Thank you for your views. Those on our discussion, of course, on security. Still on it, this is what the government ought to have done long ago. When diplomacy fails, force is applicable. Hashtag Usalama Watch, hashtag Opinion Court. On issues of security, insecurity stops with us. We should help the government smoke out these elements. Watu wabebe vitambulisho, also known as identity cards for identification. How else can we isolate illegal immigrants? I don't support the security operations which always come when things get out of hand. Real police reforms is the answer. And our final comment here, I do support the government on this, but they should exercise restraint and not abuse human rights. That, of course, still on the Usalama Watch question. Hashtag Opinion Court. Thank you so very much for interacting with us. We really do appreciate it. Have yourself a wonderful evening and a fantastic weekend ahead. My name is Anne Kiguta. It will be a pleasure to join you again next Thursday right here on Citizen Live at 9. Bye.